The sons of God in the creation of man and the firstborn in the Old Testament and the Apocrypha. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them as wives, whichever of them they chose. The sons of God went to the daughters of men and begot children by them, acquiring another meaning with a message from another side, combined with an incident confided by a friend of the article. What they write about this topic in brief, that the religious person does not understand what the poet wanted to say, what the writer wanted to say. According to the book of Genesis of the Old Testament, God first created Elohim and then the angels. The Elohim are considered entities superior to the angels, especially the former. The Ancient of Days, as Enoch mentions, was El Shaddai. The issue created of angels having intercourse with the daughters of men, as recorded in the book of Enoch, is due to the mistranslation of the Hebrew word Elohim. The Greek translators rendered it as angels and not as virtuous people, so we find that angels and Elohim are different entities. Angels are incorporeal with Elohim, while Elohim have a material body. The material body certainly does not necessarily mean flesh. Orders of angels are seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions, powers, authorities, principalities, archangels, angels. Elohim orders are El Nor, El Nin, El Zin, El Nir, El Lan, El Shan, El Tera, El Gan, El Tan. After the creation was completed, he commanded the first Elohim to create man in his image and likeness, but since man would be in the likeness of the Elohim, during his evolution he would be superior to the angels. For this reason, the rebellion of the angels took place, led by Samael, who's also known as the devil. The angels who rebelled were known as fallen angels, and later the fall of man from the sky happened, a well-known story of Adam and Eve and the apple. The first man called Adam, both in the Old Testament, mainly in the book of Genesis, and in the New Testament, Adam is the firstborn, the forefather of the human race, according to the teaching and acceptance of contemporary monotheistic religions. The description of his creation, together with that of Eve, by Yahweh, is included in two different narratives of the so-called divinely inspired book of Genesis, where the second reference is judged today to be earlier than the first. Specifically, these references are found in the first chapters, and the second chapter includes the original sin, the fall of the firstborn, and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden under the Yahvic curses. And the name Adam is one of the several Hebrew words denoting the concept of man, and in this sense it is mentioned in the above chapters of Genesis, not as a proper name. And the reference is just man, and the reference as a first name that is observed in the modern Hebrew text of Genesis is due to later phoneticism of the Hebrew text and not the text itself. The ancient text contains only consonants, but it was established as a proper name by the later Jewish interpretations of the last 10th centuries BC. It's noted that in Hebrew the word Adam has a derivation meaning soil, recalling the Greek word soil, and Adam and Eve were completely free moral agents, provided they obeyed God's command and did not taste of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. However, prompted by the ancient one Satan, they disobeyed and were therefore cast out of heaven because of their sinful state. God himself announced heavy curses which would come to Adam and Eve, and by extension to their descendants. And thus, according to the New Testament, by this course of action, better known as original sin, Adam spread sin and death to all mankind. The Creator had given Adam what he needed to lead a comfortable and fulfilling life. In fact, Adam's perspective was to live forever in heaven and on earth, as long as he proved obedient to his Maker. He and his wife Eve willfully chose to reject the guidance of their Creator, and the result was to die forever. Eve is a person of the Old Testament where she is mentioned as the first woman and the second man created by God after the proto-created Adam. According to the biblical account, Eve was created on the sixth day of creation from the side of Adam while he was asleep. Together with Adam, she was expelled from Eden, violating God's command not to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Eve appears to be the first to taste the forbidden fruit, prompted by the serpent, continually giving the fruit to Adam. In Islamic tradition, she's referred to by the name Eve, but she does not appear by name in the Quran, where she is presented as Adam's companion. No detailed information about Eve's creation from Adam is drawn from the Quran, but more details have been incorporated into other sources of Islamic theology, notably the Hadith, and within the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, different interpretations have been expressed regarding the account of the creation of Adam and Eve. It's written that while Adam was alone, he was almost happy. The hard truth is that it was hitting, and God did not create another Adam. He created the different person, Eve. The victors perverted themselves into gods and goddesses among men, since their powers and abilities were superhuman. The Nephilim were an antediluvian race before the flood, referred to in the Bible as giants. They were, as it is said, the children born of the daughters of men and the sons of God. It's of great importance to note that they are mentioned almost simultaneously with God's declaration that he would destroy the earth with a flood. And it seems that their effect on mankind was one of the main causes that brought about the disaster. We read in the book of Genesis, when the people began to increase in number on the earth and give birth to daughters, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and married those of them they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit will not stay with man forever. As he is mortal, his days will be numbered 120 years. The giants, the Nephilim, were on the earth in those days, as well as after, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children with them. According to Genesis 6, they were the giants of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of man had become in the earth, and that every inclination of thoughts of his heart was always only wickedness. The Nephilim were a race of giants that arose from the carnal union of the sons of God, possibly fallen angels, with the daughters of men. Translated from Hebrew text, Nephilim means fallen ones. They were famous for their strength, their prowess, as well as their propensity for sin. The origin of the Nephilim begins with the story of the fallen angels. Two texts of essential importance to the history of the Nephilim, the Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls, mention various names for them. Various verses list the species of these giants. They are referred to in many ways as Enim, or terrors, Rephaim, or those who cause fainting, or the dead, Gibberim, or giant heroes, Zamzumin, or successful Anakim, or long necks, and Awin, or destroyers and serpents. Other giants are also mentioned in these texts, such as Goliath, a giant with 12 fingers, 6 fingers on each hand, and 6 on each foot, who is mentioned as one of the Rephaim, and a tall Egyptian. Genesis refers to the corruption that the Nephilim had brought about among the people and among themselves. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of man had become in earth. Their satanic rebellion had aroused both the wrath and sorrow of God, so God sent the angel Gabriel to ignite a civil war among the Nephilim. He also chose Enoch, a righteous man, to inform the fallen angels of the decision he had made for them and their children. All of the above is a mixture of falsified truths, lies, and distortion. The sons of God continue to hunt the daughters of men to this day. To open gates and enter the physical world must have something to do with the gates, and this Alexander the Great, the gates he had closed with the Nephilim he threw inside. And not only those who are already in the physical world, but those also outside the planet called the sons of God. And it has to do with what a friend of the article confided. That is why they mock such matters, and they took the truth away from these issues. So it could be that these Nephilim are still existing as extraterrestrials today. Please leave your comments about this, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.